Hello, Guten Tag. Welcome. My name is Kylie Becker, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about why you should learn a second language. And as Gary Lineker said, modern languages help prepare you for modern life. So a little bit of a preview of what we're going to talk about today. So what is language? What are some of the benefits of knowing more than one? What are some of the common challenges that people have with learning a language, some excuses that people tend to use, and then what are some of the resources available to you that you can use. So according to this article by Vesfor in 2011, language is just about making meaning. All of the sounds are they're just arbitrary. But we assign meaning to them based on our culture. They are linked to cognition and conceptualization. So they're linked to how we think and how we think about certain things. And then according to the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis from 2016, there is a belief that people who speak different languages think and perceive the world in different ways. So as we learn a second language or a third, it shapes how we see the world. It shapes how we think based on what language we're thinking in at the time. So that would say, English as a language doesn't really have any respectful endings like you would think of like Japanese does or Chinese does. So the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis would say that we think about the elderly and respecting them in a different way than the Chinese and Japanese do. And if you notice that in our cultures, the Japanese have a lot more respect for their elderly, while as Americans and English speakers, we don't have quite that same level of respect as they do. So they respect them for their wisdom and their life experiences, and we're just like, okay, Grandpa, you're talking crazy now. Go hang out at the old folks' home, right? Not all of us, but as a general whole. So according to this article, 25 Reasons to Study a Foreign Language in 2016, there's, multiple good reasons to study a foreign language. So it helps you create more positive attitudes and less prejudice. So the more you know about a culture and a people, it's really hard to continue to have those stereotypes about them that might lead to some unconscious bias. It allows you to gain an understanding about your own culture, because the more you know about others, you can compare and contrast that to your own and learn more about yourself. Your analytical skills improve, so your thinking improves. It improves your math and English scores on the SAT and GRE. It can enhance your opportunities on the job market. If you're bilingual in Arizona, if you speak English and Spanish, you have more job opportunities than someone who just speaks English or who just speaks Spanish. International travel is easier because you can talk to people where you're going, and if you need directions or something, you can ask them, because if you just speak English, then that really limits how many people you can talk to. Yes, a lot of people do speak English, but if you're going over somewhere where maybe they were colonized by Spain or Portugal instead of England, and you know Spanish, then that will help you there. I guess even if you go somewhere that was colonized by France, but we don't talk about them. And it expands your view of the world and makes you more flexible and tolerant, because when you're learning a language, it takes a lot of brain power. So you're thinking, you're learning, and overall that is improving your mind, making it more flexible. And like I said, the more you learn about other people, the harder it is to be biased against them. So, what are some of the common excuses that people use? Everyone already speaks English. It's the lingua franca of our time. I don't have time to learn a new language, or I'm too old, or I'm not talented with language. It takes too much time or too much money. But according to an article by DeLang in 2011, this age one, there's no excuse to say, you're never too old to learn a new language. So adults actually perform better in learning languages than do children. So everyone's like, oh, the best time to learn a language is when you're a kid. Yes, probably, but as adults, we're still better at picking up a second one than kids are. And all of these reasons were according to 5 common excuses not to learn a foreign language in 2013. So continuing on with that, like I said, it does take a lot of time. It takes hours and hours upon work to learn a foreign language. But, think of all the benefits that can come from that. Yes, it can be expensive, but I am going to tell you about some free resources that are available to you guys personally. It can add to the academic load, and we all know what that's like when we add an extra class or whatever, and then our brain just starts kind of dribbling out of our ear, and we're just like, oh gosh, I can't think anymore, I'm just going to take a nap. We've all been there. You could fry your brain and then mix up your words. So I'm going to tell you a story about when I was in community college. So we're moving on a decade here at this point, 7 years or so. I was sitting at the lunch table with my best friend. He's a native Czech and Slovak speaker. He was born when it was still Czechoslovakia before they split in 1992. And there are some cognates between the Czech language and the English language, like police and stuff. And I was trying to learn a couple new words, and I point at the peaches on my tray. And I say, is peaches just like peach or something like that? And he just bursts out laughing at me and just cannot stop. And then, of course, him being him, says, if you go there and you ask for pizza, they're going to send you to the brothel. So, you can have funny mistakes like that, but, the more you practice, the better you get. And this is for a language course through the University of Iowa. It can be very expensive, though. The Czech language course I took through there cost me $954. However, you guys go to EAC. We may not have a wide variety of languages, but it's about $300 a class to take a language. And you could take that class, you can use the Rosetta Stone, that is in the language lab, you can get a language tutor and learn it that way. You can also go to the Foreign Service Institute, which is a function of the United States government, and it has the online booklets free that the U.S. government uses for diplomats to train them in different languages. I don't think there's any audio stuff with this, but to get at least a base before you go and spend money on a class, you can use the FSI's online resources, and they have so many different languages. And there's also Mango languages. So if you have a Safford library card, then you have access to the Mango languages totally for free. They have multiple languages on there. It will read it to you, and then you can actually record yourself on this as well, so you can compare what you're saying to what the practice person is saying as well. And like I said, if you have a Safford library card, Mango Languages is totally free. So, I encourage you guys all to, at least start to think about pursuing a second language. I told you some of the common excuses and some of the common issues that people have, but I hope that you think the benefits really kind of outweigh, some of the associated costs. Because then you get to learn cool words like komin or komini, which is chimney or plural chimneys with the Y. And then one of the really hard words to say, rzeka, because the R makes a really weird sound, and Czech is the only language with that weird R, and not even all of them can say the words right. So, thank you. Do svidania. Ciao. Adios. Auf Wiedersehen. And